Well, hello. Lovely to have you here. And before I get into today's episode, I want to let you know about a really juicy and a very exciting new offer I have. The Impactability webinar series is back. Now, Impactability webinars are short, 75-minute live and fully interactive online workshops where I teach something very, very specific. And in this first one back, because it's been a couple of years, I'm going to talk about the Goldilocks effect. The Goldilocks effect of speaking. This is perfect if you are an oversharer, if you want to be more concise, but you want to keep your voice. I mean, after nerves, oversharing and saying too much seems to be the biggest issue my clients have when they come to me. So join me, 30th of July. It's a Wednesday. It's taking place at lunchtime if you're on the east coast of Australia, 12:30 to 1:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And the cost, it's ridiculously low, $67 Australian. The link is in the show notes, and I cannot wait to see you to share the Goldilocks effect of speaking. Not too little, not too much, just the right amount of speaking so that you can land your message. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Speaking with Confidence with Kat Matson, the show where I teach you, humble leaders, whether you're a business owner, a public servant, or a corporate contributor, how you can find your voice, show up and speak in a way that your message is heard and you can make your desired impact in the world. It's episode 155. There's just a really lovely milestone feel about that. If you're a new listener, welcome. It's lovely to have you in my universe. And if you're a regular listener, thank you. Thank you for contributing to 155 episodes. Now, today I'm talking about those pesky ums and ahs. And look, this one comes up all the time, but recently I posted in a Facebook group that I'm a member of. I asked the question, what's your biggest speaking challenge? What's the issue? What's the number one thing that if I could help you with it, it would make such a big difference? And somebody said, well, I need ways to cut out, to get rid of the excessive ums and ahs and other unnecessary fillers that seem to take away conviction and strength in my message. And so I wanted to talk about this. Now, there's a key phrase in this response here that I really want to pull out. Ums and ahs and other unnecessary fillers that take away the conviction and the strength in the message. Now, the reason I'm calling this out is ums and ahs are a natural part of our conversation. It's the brain catching up with what it is that we're trying to say, right? And so when people say to me, oh, I say and ah too much, my first response is, who said? Who said that you say and ah too much? The key distinction here in this particular response was when it takes away the conviction and when it takes away the strength of my message. So if this is something that you struggle with, first of all, let's identify where and why you use filler words like, anybody remember Kylie Mole? Google it if she was a fictional character on a comedy show many, many, many years ago here in Australia. So why do you use these filler words? Is it to soften the blow of your message? Is it because you're concerned that if you don't soften it with I just wanted to have a chat with you today about, something that's been bothering me. Is it to soften the blow? Or is it because you're thinking on the fly? You've got the opportunity to pitch your idea or explain your point of view on something. And so while you're in that moment, I'm just collecting, I'm just collecting my thoughts, and I think it would be really good if we could. So is it because you're thinking on the fly? Is it because you're working out loud or thinking out loud while you're collecting your thoughts? Or is it just because it's how you speak? We learn to speak by observing our parents or the people who were around us when we were toddlers, when we were learning to speak, and then we pick up the verbal habits of plenty of people around us. Is umming and ahhing just part of who you are? So as you identify where and why you use the fillers, there's different approaches. There's different ways to stop using them if they're undermining your message at each step. So first of all, let's deal with the softening the blow one. If you're using an to soften the blow, if you are delivering a message that you feel might meet some resistance, if you feel like it's a difficult message, then first of all, can you rephrase what you want to say in a way that is still emphatic, but isn't so slap in your face? Like, can you use different words to deliver your message with compassion and with impact? Also, practice what you want to say a few times so it gets familiar in your own mouth and familiar in your own body. Now, this is particularly true for any of us who are conflict averse. Most of us, right? And if you're feeling nervous about saying something that you feel might have an impact, that you feel might hurt, that you feel might have resistance, then it's perfectly normal to want to soften that. And if you can practice delivering your message, if you can practice saying it in a way that is still authoritative, that is still congruent, without the umming and ahhing, then that familiarity in your body will help you not resort to those ums and ahs to soften the blow. The other thing that I'm going to ask you, if this is where you use your ums and ahs, do you actually need to soften the blow? What is it that you are afraid of? Is it that you have been simply trained over many, 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 many years to not speak up? And if that's the case, just acknowledge it and kind of go, speaking of filler words, kind of go, and just say to yourself, it's all right. It's okay for me to have an opinion, to express my needs, to ask for something, and I don't have to soften the blow. It's not dissimilar to any time we speak up and we experience that imposter syndrome. We ask ourselves, well, who am I to be saying this? My tactics for that have been many times spoken about on this podcast. But it's the same here. It's giving yourself permission to have your opinion, to speak up, to say what's on your mind. And perhaps you don't need to soften the blow at all. Perhaps it's just your stuff about speaking up. So that's what you can do with those filler words, with your ums and ahs, if the motivation is to soften the blow. Is it because you're thinking on the fly? Well, goodness gracious me, I am an out loud thinker. There is no doubt about it. And one of the things that I recently discovered in reading some beautiful work by a psychologist who had done quite a lot of study on neuroscience is because of how my brain is constructed, and he's seen this in other people, some of us do need to think out loud in order to understand. It's why I've always loved journaling. It's why I talk to myself on my walks in the morning. It's why I love coaching, asynchronous coaching platforms where I can just talk out loud into WhatsApp and download all of my thoughts. And that could be minutes and minutes and minutes of downloading of thoughts. By the time I've got to the end, doing all of that for myself is enough. And my coaches just need to be able to reflect back a couple of little insights. So if you use ums and ahs because you're thinking on the fly, first thing I want to say is don't be so hard on yourself. It is perfectly acceptable to think on the fly. It is perfectly acceptable in most circumstances for you to speak with some ums and ahs. Now, if you are trying to be more credible, if you are standing at the front of the room, if you are delivering a presentation and you want to remove some of those ums and ahs, well, practice. Just practice. The other thing that I will often do, not so much for a presentation, but if I need to speak and land a couple of key messages in a meeting, then I will write out those messages a few times. It sounds like a bit like Bart Simpson writing out his lines on the blackboard, and that's not what I mean. It's more to clarify that message, clarify that essence for myself before I speak it, because I need to think out loud. I need to process and see the thoughts, feel the thoughts before they land. The other thing though, if you are in a situation and you haven't had the chance to prepare, you haven't had the chance to write out those messages, the way to still be emphatic while still having your ums and ahs, because that is part of your natural processing, is to simply summarize and repeat your key message after you've landed where you wanted to go. So that could be as simple as, having the conversation and explaining your arguments and kind of standing there and going, but what I mean is, and I'm kind of thinking of a different example, or I'm thinking of perhaps how we do it. And you go through all of that process and then you just wrap it up by saying, so what I think we should do is this. No reasonable human being is going to dismiss you because you use some ums and ahs while you're thinking on the fly. It's ourselves that tell ourselves, it's us that tells ourselves that we shouldn't be using ums and ahs. The other thing that I sometimes recommend is come up with a couple of different filler words, because ums and ahs can sound really, can sound a little bit understated, but different filler phrases can still give you time to catch up whilst still getting some audience feedback. So I will often ask, does that make sense? At the end of a sentence. So that's my replacement to get some audience feedback or get some listener feedback at the same time as allowing my brain or allowing my thoughts to catch up. So if you use ums and ahs because you are thinking on the fly, my tips there are, don't be so hard on yourself. Repeat your key point and try to prepare some of your key messages beforehand. Finally, the third reason that I outlined of why you might use ums and ahs, it could just be because it's how you speak. And trust me, trying to stop that will be akin to learning a new language, or will be akin to learning a new way of thinking. Don't be so hard on yourself. Use those previous tips to still be emphatic, to still be authoritative, to still be credible, and still being you. It's interesting because I will often get feedback, that I don't use ums and ahs at all. And people assume that it's because I'm a really good speaker. Well, here's the funny thing. My podcasting software will tell me quite different. Every time I record an episode, the podcasting editing software will say, do you want us to remove all of these ums and ahs? Now, I say no, because it is part of who I am. And if I was to remove any of those ums, ahs, gaps, thinking pauses, any of those fillers, then it might make for an efficient delivery, but it wouldn't make for an effective delivery, because it would no longer be me. It would be a robotic impersonation of me. So when we take out our natural patter, sorry if you can hear those crows in the background, when you take away that natural patter of your normal voice, when you take away those natural pauses, when you take away those filler words, those ums, those ahs, then you're taking away a little bit of you. And understand too that when you're speaking, when you're using a filler word, you're also giving your audience time to catch up as well. If you are machine gun delivery of all of your words, pitch perfect, then it's just a barrage of information. So sure, there are some times when using ums and ahs can undermine your credibility, but it's nowhere near as often as we think it is. And there are plenty of ways that you can leave them and still be authoritative, credible, and impactful when you speak. As I said at the top of the episode, I'm revisiting an old series that I started a couple of years ago, and I'm bringing it back. It's called the Impactability webinar series. It's an online workshop. If we were in the same room, it would be just as interactive. This is a powerful workshop where I teach you a little bit, but we workshop a lot. And the next one, which is coming up on the 30th of July, is the Goldilocks effect. How cute. The Goldilocks effect. Not too little, not too much, just the right amount of words and messaging to land your message. So the link to that is in the show notes. Now, this episode was all sparked because somebody said to me, Kat, I need help with my umming and ahhing. If you have something that you need help with when it comes to speaking with confidence, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it because that's what stimulates these podcast episodes. So the best way to do that easily is to just go to Instagram, and you can find me at Kat Matson. I know, it's nice and simple. And just follow me, DM me, whatever, and let me know, what would you like me to help you with when it comes to speaking with confidence? I feel like there was something else that I wanted to say there, but it's completely left my head. So I'm going to leave you to get on with your day. I hope you are having a fabulous one doing whatever it is that you're doing. And until I see you next time, here's to confidence and here's to impact. I'll see you really soon.